up, you guys? It's Chris, your favorite NB. And as you can see, my outfit today is very beautiful, formal. There's a mix of gendered clothing, so it's perfect for how I'm feeling right now. I did not put deodorant on, which was a mistake, because now I'm feeling the armpit sweat coming down. But today we're going to talk about my multiracial intersectionality. Ooh, fun. So obviously I'm light-skinned. I have a lighter skin tone, and I do have a privilege because of that, which is just light skin privilege. There are a lot of weird privileges that come with being like a lighter skinned mixed person, and it's like really small things. Like, it's not as blatantly obvious until it happens. Like, I went out with my cousin. She was trying to get a job at a place near my house. So we were walking around the stores, and we went in and asked the lady for an application. But as soon as we walked in and tried to initiate a conversation with her, she maintained eye contact with me. Now, keep in mind, I wasn't saying anything to her because I wasn't there for the application. In fact, I even motioned. I was like, look at my cousin. My cousin's the one trying to speak to you. She kept trying to shift her focus to me as if she preferred me to be working there, and that made me and my cousin like mad uncomfortable, and we're like, okay, don't work there, like that's messed up. It could have been like a bias, could have been some sort of prejudice that she may or may not have realized she had, but it was a white woman, and she kept looking at me instead of my cousin, who was darker than me. But it was obvious my cousin was older than me and the one asking for the job application, so that was mad rude. Like, it's little things like that, as well as like I'm treated better in like classroom situations and things of that nature, I feel, due to my like light skin privilege. I'm relatively good at academics. I'm just very quiet in the classroom, but I work very hard to try to get the teachers to like me. However, I have friends who are very open-minded, who are very like willing to share their opinions in the classroom, and they get almost mocked or belittled, and they're like darker skinned than me, and when I say something that's along the same lines, I get my thought like received better. And it doesn't sit right with me, because this friend is the most outspoken person I know, and she's not afraid to speak her mind. You know, she says what she wants to say and she means it, and kudos to her, because she's amazing for being so confident in everything that she thinks and says. But then she doesn't get respected the same way I would if I said the same thing, and I don't like that. Like, especially when we have white teachers, and classrooms are mixed. All right, I go to a public school. Classrooms are mixed with all sorts of people. In my class, I'm the only Asian person. I'm not the only black person, but I'm the only Asian person. And I have friends in the class who are white, I have friends in the class who are black. However, when this friend, like the outspoken friend that I know, speaks, a lot of the times I hear my white friends almost mocking her, and I really want to say something, right? And this is my flaw. Let me call myself out real quick. I always want to say something, but it's always the smallest like little joke that they're whispering, and technically I don't think they want me to hear it, and I want to call them out on it, but I don't, because it's a classroom setting and it's quiet. It's so bad that I'm not calling them out on it, just because I want to like maintain some sort of friendship with them, just because I know they have connections in places I probably don't. And on top of that, they're belittling my friend, and I really should have stood up for her, but it's a classroom situation and I'm trying not to break the peace. But I should have, like, call out for me. Like, I should have stood up for my friend. Like, she's the nicest, most outspoken person I know. She's working so hard and speaking out so much, and I couldn't do that one thing and stand up for her, and I'm really regretful. I need to work on that. I need to learn how to be unapologetic with calling people out on things that are wrong and I notice they're wrong. And the teacher sometimes does it too. She'll like brush her off, and you have to try and understand where people are coming from when they do things, right? My friend who's outspoken, she's in a rough situation. she's doing her best in that rough situation. My teacher is like kind of sort of understanding and caring, but she really doesn't understand her full situation. And so when she brushes her off, I feel like it affects her more than she's letting it show. And it sucks. So I definitely have a light skin privilege and like a mixed privilege too, if that makes sense. Like in Jamaica especially, there is a colorism present. So when I used to go down, also they do things that are stereotypically racist regarding Chinese people, and that leads to a lot of Chinese people who grow up in Jamaica or are Jamaican. They grow up with a sense of this is okay, and they don't know that it's racist towards Asians. I'll get into that later. So when I go down to Jamaica, you know, I get a lot of compliments, I get a lot of praise, you know, people just like me, and I'm not a people person, alright? I'm really quiet around people, like especially that I'm not very comfortable with. I get mad silent, so they're so like fascinated by me. I don't know, but I have that sort of like they like me because I'm lighter skin, I think, which I'm personally, I like that. Obviously it's a benefit, it's a privilege, but it's unfair. And then of course in Jamaica there is a colorism, there's a homophobia. I don't know if there is like transphobia, but I would assume because of the homophobia there would be transphobia. I've never lived in Jamaica for a set long amount of time, like a year or so, or even a couple months. Like I haven't stayed and lived there, but my mom did, and we'll talk about Jamaica sometimes. And what I've come to understand is that a lot of Jamaicans, much like a lot of people of color, prefer interracial relationships because they want a pretty baby or a baby with pretty hair, like the same idea of getting with a white person or with an Asian person to have a pretty baby. That's the idea. Then there was one instance, apparently, I don't know if this still happens, but apparently there was a time when if you were found out to be gay, gang members would hunt you down, and that terrified me. I still love my Jamaican heritage. In fact, the other day I was listening to a bunch of like 90s hits, just dancing in my kitchen, listening to reggae blasting from my laptop. But I don't know enough, like I haven't experienced enough of Jamaican culture to really have a say. And then that's the same thing on my Chinese side. Like my dad, who was full Chinese, did grow up in Jamaica as well, so I never had a tie to my Chinese culture because my dad died when I was like 8, so that was before I got into really wanting to know more about my background, like history wise, like in depth about family members and whatnot. So I never knew anything about his parents, where in China he came from, none of that. He's just a Jamaican born and raised guy, or raised, I don't think he was born there. So I never knew. I never asked, I never knew. And it hurts sometimes because I can't relate to any other Asian Americans because they all grow up in such different situations than I did. Like I always knew more about my Jamaican culture. I've been to Jamaica. I identify as a Jamaican person because I am half Jamaican and I am Jamaican. I also say I'm Chinese because I am, but I don't know anything about China. I don't know what part of China I'm from or if I have family there still. You know, I don't know anything. I wanted to learn Mandarin in school, but I ended up learning Spanish, so I still don't have a tie to my culture in any way, which I think is why I got really into like K-pop type things when I got into it. Like when I found out about it, I really latched on because I was like self-validating myself as an Asian, I suppose. So I was lacking a lot. I had no Asian role models, no Asian family members, nothing to connect to. So when I hit K-pop and when I hit like Korean movies, media, and saw all these talented people doing things that I personally enjoy doing, and on top of that being successful people of color, of course I latched onto it. And now that's kind of my link as a self-validating Asian, because a lot of other Asian people enjoy it, so I can, you know, have something in common with them. Aside from, of course, you know, Asian microaggressions and racist remarks and stereotypes in America, because you can relate with a lot of Asians on that. But a lot of the time, people don't assume I'm like Asian. They assume I'm like an islander, like a Pacific Islander, like I'm from Hawaii or something. Once I think someone asked me if I was from Nebraska, and that was really weird, like when I was younger, and I always remembered that because I was like, what? That's such a, why Nebraska? Like that's a weird place to ask. But a lot of people would ask me if I was like Hawaiian or Nebraskan, what? And I'd just be like, oh no, I'm Jamaican and Chinese. And then a lot of people just ask me, oh, what is your ethnicity? Like, what's your background? What races are you mixed with? I'm like, Chinese and Jamaican. A lot of people respond with like, oh, that's a good mix. What does that mean? What does that mean? That's a good mix? All mixes are a good mix. Like, multiracial people are multiracial. That's it. Definitely because I didn't know a lot about my Asian culture and I knew more about my Jamaican culture. It was hard making friends who were Asian. We could not relate on anything, especially growing up. So I have very, very few Asian friends, and we really only relate over whatever classes we share, whatever interests we may or may not share, just being friendly to each other, and Asian microaggressions / racism. Like, other than that, we don't really talk about much. Like, we're just friends, just like acquaintance friends. But my close friends are like second, third generation Caribbean people. So also people of color, but like I'm closer with Black people, with Caribbean people than with Asian people, just based on how I was brought up. If there are any Asians out there that want to be my friend, please be my friend. Someone teach me more about Chinese culture. I don't know anything. Someone please. If you want to, of course. One thing I really love about Jamaican culture, aside from the bomb food, just thinking about Jamaica, my first image, Guinea. Oh my gosh, every time I go down to Jamaica, I'm like, I need all the bunches of Guinea I can get my hands on. Guinea is my favorite thing. Anybody down in Jamaica, if you want to win my heart instantly, just buy me like a truckload of Guinea. I also like patois. I like it. So overall, as a mixed person, especially like a multiracial queer person of color, you grow up noticing there's a lot of ignorance in your intersectional communities. And not only is there a lot of ignorance, but there's also a lack of action. And for certain communities, like, it's understandable why there's a lack of action, because there's a fear aspect with it. But within white communities, and I don't have a white intersection, but I do have white friends. Within white communities, there's a lot of education and then a lack of action, or there's a lot of purposeful ignorance. Like, they'll purposely pretend to not know or just not educate themselves so that they cannot act. And that's really unfortunate, because they have the privilege and they have the power and they have the action that they can do, and they won't get backlash. You know, they won't have that fear of getting shot and killed for nothing. So we need more people like Bernie Sanders is essentially what I'm saying. But like, of course, on ignorance, I'm so grateful to my friends, because without my friends introducing me to Tumblr in middle school, like, this is so corny and embarrassing, but if my friends never introduced me to Tumblr in middle school, I would not be as open and accepting and understanding as I am now, or nearly as educated. I would still be ignorant and confused, and I'm so glad to them. Also, my friend Nia, who, I don't know if y'all remember her, she was in the like introduction, the interview video. She made a term for ignorant people. If you guys want to talk about ignorant people just generally in public, it's a pre-existing word. So instead of saying ignorant people, racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, we just say boring, right? So if you want to say someone's ignorant, you can say boring. Kudos to Nia. Just be like, hashtag I hate boring people. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. So that's it for this video, guys. If I didn't cover something that you think I could have covered, like, leave comments down below and I'll try to make a part 2 if you want me to, covering whatever you think I missed. But that's all I have to say. So thank you all for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy. I love you all. And I'll see you in the next video.
Look at him pose.
at you. I love you. You're amazing. Look at you go. You're better than Dewey. Dewey doesn't like me. Look at you go. You're great. The second cat. It's cat number 2. It's Marco. Amazing. Beautiful. Great form. Good job.